Hi, welcome back to the Fritzky Show. Just a thought or two about this effort today, this podcasting effort of mine. Since I put nothing into marketing or advertising, no one's more responsible than me for the loss of listeners or the inability to sustain listeners. I still feel blessed by the constancy of Patsy, Mary Pisaniello, Mary Schabel, Nancy, Jim, Rita, Rosie, Kira, Emily, Angela, Maggie, Al, Pete, Casey, Nona, Debbie, Jacqueline, and a cherished handful I don't even know. Please stay with me going forward, but understand that I will only be posting once a month over the summer. In the heart of June, July, and August. Come fall, I'll look to post on both the 1st and 15th of September on, and more when and if circumstances dictate. Should you want to weigh in on what I plan, I will sure welcome your ideas and your thoughts. Thank you. As for today, you must know that I'm long overdue to go full-on politically crazed. But first, I have a parental lamentation. As the father of 12, Maggie and I never got cut any slack, and that the very right to complain about children was forever stripped from us at the 3 or 4 mark. I understand the "you are crazy, crazy, or craziest" barometer that is applied. The "you're out of your damn mind, that you're going to get what you deserve" school of thought. But just consider this. What if the first 4 were truly extraordinary and not fit to get licenses to drive until they were 21? Might that not require some kind of reconsideration, a modicum of sympathy? After all, our first 4, all girls, were trouble behind the wheel and did their level best to bankrupt us. Back then we had a 15-seat Beauville van. On one fine morning, I was changing the oil. The hood was up, the old oil filter had been removed, and was lying right there on the ground by the vehicle, right along with 5 cans of new oil that were just sitting there in the grass, and a new filter, while remnants of the old oil was still draining into a pan. All was going smoothly at that point until Maggie came out to ask if I could take Noelle, daughter number 5, to the urgent care, because she was running a high fever. So I put my work on hold and did so. All went well, and as we were driving home, there comes our Beauville van with young Maggie, 17, at the wheel, and Angela right by her side, smiling and waving without a care in the world. I momentarily responded in kind. Immediately did a double take, cried out, "Oh shit," madly turned around, and the chase was on. Turned out my brilliant daughters got little more than another 500 feet down the road. More shocked and numbed than angry, I just asked, "How could you? Why, didn't you see? Didn't you realize?" No cursing, just amazement. The hood was up, oil was draining. You had to step over cans of new oil just to get into the driver's seat. Silly smiles and quizzical looks alone came back to me. The end result, a seized engine, roughly $5,000 that we did not have, and yet another wing and a prayer. As an adult, daughter number 2, Angela, has enjoyed a spotless driving record. But as a teenager, she was a one-person, chitty-chitty, bang-bang wrecking crew. A good car, a Eurosport, took a blistering hit from her, and the front end had been completely pushed in on the left side. I'd long put it in a body shop on Route 46. Lost for weeks, actually, as I, in the need to get up money, told them no rush. When we picked it up, a happy Ange followed us out of the drive. At the old Route 10 circle, I begin to move, but quickly stop as a car was racing through, while Ange had to have hit the gas like Speed Racer, smashing into our rear with force enough to replicate the damage that had just been repaired. Picked up only to be towed right back in. All it took was less than 1 mile and 2 minutes. Now, daughter number 3, Teresa, did no serious damage, but she still achieved mightily. Driving that same Beauville van with a still pristine body, she manages to put significant dents into both the left front and rear right in an old Blockbuster parking lot on Route 10 back in the day. She took out both the front light and the tail light in the process. Amazing enough. But to cap the night off, she dropped Frank off in Cranberry Lake, where, unfortunately, the roads are narrow and the trees abundant. And merely turning around, she dings both the right front end and the left rear. Bottom line, in the span of 45 minutes, we've got 4 dents in all 4 corners of the vehicle. Nothing impeded driving it, so we went on to celebrate those 4 dents until that old Beauville van met its demise many years down the road, long bearing witness to the perfect symmetry of Teresa's performance that evening. Now Rosie, number 4, she never even had to get her license. All it took was a learner's permit. There were a few trees back then on the immediate right of our drive, and the rock wall to the left was a good bit closer to the drive then, making her geometric feat possible, if not at all probable. We had just arrived home. She had her learner's permit in hand. She was champing at the bit to hit the rowdy road. A Saturday, we had just returned in our still new Astra van, and she wanted a ride. But it was snowing, and while it might not have been that much of a storm, the ground, the drive, and all the roads were covered, so I said no, not until the roads were clear. But soon enough, word comes, and I'm advised that I apparently had failed to put the fear of the Lord into her after all. Calming myself, I go out, only to be more dazzled than angry. Impossible, I thought, but there it was, perfectly broadside in the heart of the drive, pinned between an ash tree and the rock wall. Front end torn up by harsh scrapes, but the back door genuinely crumpled in. At a 90-degree angle on both ends, geometrically precise, just extraordinary. And while it would have come at the cost of either a tree or a rock wall, which it well did, my mind was elsewhere at the time. Only 4 down, I thought. 8 to go. They'll surely kill me before I get to 12. Now I return to the politically batshit crazy. The grand old Republican Party was the party of Lincoln, of Teddy Roosevelt, of Dwight David Eisenhower. And while I was drawn in my youth to Kennedy and not Nixon, and then all in heart and soul to Bobby, decent Republicans also appealed in my youth. New Jersey's Clifford Case, United States Senator. I loved him, and he may well have been as liberal and progressive as anyone who served at the time. Everett Dirksen, their leader in the Senate, was wise, personable, strong. And Tom Kean was a great governor of my state, who actually blessed my own meddling. So many more, like the larger-than-life, pipe-smoking wonder from New Jersey, Congresswoman Millicent Fenwick. And yet today they have crumbled before our very eyes into a mean-spirited, blind bevy of sycophants and moronic nimnoids who wantonly attach themselves to the ego of Trump and, of course, of Trump's big lie about the election fraud, the stolen election, the corruption, yes, the king of lies, that which put the icing on the cake of the near 19,000 other lies he told as president. The king of lies that even his own Attorney General, Director of Cybersecurity, Supreme Court, and no less than 63 lesser courts would not honor and would not tolerate, thrown out every time. They just condemn the only voice of reason and honor among their leadership in the House, Liz Cheney, and they condemn all other voices of reason, Lisa Murkowski, Mitt Romney, Adam Kinzinger, and others. Washingtonian Republicans are Trump's lock, stock, and barrel. They have in his name proclaimed that nary a vote of theirs will be attached to any bill, no matter how greatly needed, of Biden's. The great irony, Trump has never even been theirs. His attachment, too, was but a means to an end in the first place, and his allure was that of one who tapped into every bigotry and hatred known to humankind. Every damn anti-immigrant, jingoistic, sexist, misogynist, racist drum that could possibly be beaten. Every damn America, America, God shed his grace on thee. So let's go forth and screw every other country on the planet. To war, even against the reality of our own history. Indian slavery, lynching, the 1619 Project. Forget about them. In Georgia, at their state convention a couple of weeks ago, they loudly condemned their own incumbent GOP Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, and Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan for honorably doing their jobs and for not getting their hero the votes he needed to take a state he did not win. In Arizona, where the Republican State Senate commissioned yet another recount in Maricopa County, one that had been going on shamefully for months on end, Trump out of the blue recently screamed out that they can't even find the ballots, as if Biden must have personally absconded with them. Doesn't it beg the question? Well then, what have they been counting for the past 2+ months? Representative Andrew Clyde of Georgia so proudly spread this lie only last week, that June 6th, the day of the great insurrection of the United States Capitol, it was just a normal tourist visit, a walk in the park, one in which 140 police officers were injured and one killed. In their batshit crazy alternative universe, just a walk in the park. That same line has been repeated again and again by other Trumpians in recent weeks. There are literally hundreds of anti-democratic, anti-voting rights bills that are now being further complicated as they go not just to the voter, but now they seek to criminalize what were always the helpful kindnesses rendered by election workers, who do nothing but service our democracy, the very foot soldiers of that democracy, who work long hours for low pay to administer the function of our elections. In state after state, they now turn them just to propagate Trump's lies about 2020 and fraud. They now absurdly threatened these gentlemen and women with jail time and with fines as large as $25,000. Not a one forged in any kind of reality. While Biden is trying to turn the dial forward and deal with endemic problems for which he is to be praised, and while Bernie keeps the pressure on, for which he also is to be praised, and while they are unlikely to be able to please an old progressive warhorse like me, who will never stop advocating for higher minimum wages, Medicare for all, movement on all of the Green New Deal positions, I still say yes on infrastructure, yes on health and human services, yes on whatever Biden believes he can get done. But the filibuster is going to have to go. For it is a vestige of a day and a time when legislators were human beings who talked things out, looked for answers and solutions, and actually legislated. They were not the automatons that the Republicans have turned into today. Sad but true. America desperately needs the For the People Act and a firm pushback on the mad assault upon voting rights. We must give our nation the control it needs to protect our presidential and congressional elections, to protect our very democracy. Something that today's Trumpians assault as they realize that they can no longer win in a free and fair fight. Yes, if they can have their cake and eat it too, to hell with democracy. Cindy McCain this week suggested that any group that supports, comforts, aids, or abets a Marjorie Taylor Greene, who did psychotically troll Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez recently, are psychotic barbarians. Harsh, but fitting. The sad truth, but good news for America, is that Donald Trump is a dead man walking. Donald Trump is going to go down in the Southern District of New York for tax fraud and possibly insurance fraud. And eventually he should be criminally charged for what he instigated on June 6th. And a court will not so easily forgive what the United States Senate did. A defamation suit also progresses, and another is brewing in faraway Scotland, and there will be more lawsuits coming. You know it, I know it. He is a political dead man walking. And Kevin McCarthy and his toddlers, the Lauren Boeberts, Louis Gohmerts, Mo Brookses, Matt Gaetzes, Marjorie Taylor Greenes, and so too good old Mitch McConnell in the Senate, and his Tim Scott, and his Lindsey Grahams, and his Tom Cottons. They are but his walking dead. It is only a matter of time until the carnage they have fashioned implodes. A lie, after all, is a lie, and the truth will out. And then, finally, a reckoning, a cleansing, a way forward, redemption. As ever, thanks, my friends. That's a wrap for this round. I'll be back in a few weeks. Until then, smile on your brothers and sisters out there. Take care and welcome summer sun.